Hello, hello, hello. Shabbat Shalom to all of you. I'm excited to have each and every one of you with us today. It is a beautiful day outside. So, with that being said, you and I are going to jump right into our Father's Word. First, let me say thank you so much for allowing me to share this Shabbat with you and the Father. Thank you for allowing me to join you and be in your presence, along with the presence of the Most High. I We are discussing identifying your purpose, and it's been an incredible journey. Speaking and talking to people throughout the course of the week, uh, and counseling and coaching individuals about their purpose. And I think the most fascinating thing is that a lot of us, humanity, are convinced sometimes that our past performance, basically, our past decisions, disqualify us from what we are or what we've always believed ourselves to be called to be or to do. Some people may have had some knowledge of what they believe they were called to do. And I think a lot of people, I must admit, feel that they miss their call to preach, pastor, or to teach. And a lot of times, those responsibilities simply just don't take place in the pulpit, or inside the four walls of the church in the form of leading a congregation. It's different for all of us. But with that being said, how about we just have a look at some of the things that you and I discovered over the course of the past few weeks, where we were discussing those things that we have in common. And those things, the first thing that we all share is that we're filled with the Spirit of God. And I am passionate about the book of Exodus 31, where the Lord is talking to Moses about some other people in the camp. And the Lord tells Moses, he says, I have filled them with the Spirit of God. I, and that's just the beginning of what we're filled with. And some of the other things that we discussed over the past few weeks has been we have been created in our Father's image, in our Father's likeness, with our Father's spirit of forgiveness, our Father's spirit of grace, our Father's spirit of mercy. You name it. We have been filled with all of those things and filled with our Father's love. Those are some of the foundational things that you and I share in the Spirit of God, in His likeness, His image, His forgiveness, His grace and mercy, His love. These these are just some foundational things that, be we male or female, um, no matter where we're from, these are some things that we share in our foundation that's consistent. In the book of Exodus 31, the Lord is talking to Moses, and he goes on to talk about some things that he has filled his sons, the workmen, those that he wanted to have their hand in their skill in building of the tabernacle. And the Lord goes on to tell Moses, he said, I've filled him, I filled them with the Spirit of God, with my wisdom, with my understanding, and with my knowledge. I have filled them with all kinds of skills. And it could also be said that he's filled them with all kind of expertise in all kinds of crafts. He's filled us with his ability, his intelligence, his craftsmanship, and his workmanship. That's just the foundation. So to know that we have been filled with all of those things, my apologies, we've been filled with all of those things, um, just in the foundation, just before we even get to what the thing is that we're to do, before we even get to our assignment, before any of that, we are filled with all of this. And that's a lot to unpack. That's an awful lot to say that. Well, let me say this. We're filled with so much of our Father that I'm at a place now where I don't think any of us have a foot to stand on, or ground to stand on when we say, I can't, I'm not equipped. That's just our foundation. So, over the past few weeks, these are the things we've talked about. These are the things that we've discussed in the Word about all of the things that we've been filled with. So, let you and I let's just recap on some of this. We're just gonna look at uh, we're just gonna take a little more in-depth look at the things that we're filled with, because I don't want any of us to continue to wake up day after day. Now, this is just me. Can you imagine the Father's heart when his sons and his daughters are waking up talking about, I can't do this and I can't do that because I don't have this or I lack that? The truth is, you are so filled with so much good coming from the Spirit of YeHoVaH God, our Father and Creator, that there's going to be less and less room for you to say what you cannot do, because you're filled and equipped with so much more. And today, you and I, we're just going to focus on the things that you're filled with. Today, we're going to focus on just the gifts from the Father. Today, we're just going to look at the deposits that are already inside of you, simply because He loved you. Um, I've heard many of leaders say, if God called you to it, God will bring you through it. And that stands to be true. And the reason we're going to successfully get through these things is because we were equipped to overcome. So let's just have a look at wisdom. Wisdom, out of wisdom there comes skillfulness, wit, the ability to find yourself in a situation or a circumstance that you may have never been or found yourself in before, but now you find yourself in this place. You don't know how you got here, and you have no idea how you are going to get out. But what you do know is you are not about to stay in the place where you are for multiple reasons. One, this is not your destined place. This is not your final place. And you are simply passing through on your way to the called place. So let's not make any hasty decisions, any permanent decisions in this temporary place. As you're going through and dealing with this temporal situation or circumstance, it won't last forever. So we will avoid at all cost making permanent decisions in these temporary circumstances. Um, for example, a lot of times we want to cut people off because we're going through a thing and we feel like a person or some people should have done more, um, to have prevented us from being in the place where we are. Well, the truth is, every decision is your decision. Every decision you make is your own decision. We have to come out of this place where we want to fault people and blame people for where we are. Let's have a look at Jonah. Oh, was it their fault Jonah got thrown overboard? Is it their fault a fish opened up its mouth and swallowed Jonah? Is it someone else's fault that Jonah was even on the boat? No, it's no one's fault that Jonah was swallowed by the large fish, the whale. It's no one's fault that Jonah was tossed overboard. It's no one else's fault that Jonah ended up on the ship going in the wrong direction, opposite of where he knew he was called and supposed to be. Jonah knew exactly where he was supposed to be. Jonah made a decision that I'm not going to do what God has called and assigned me to do, because every time God tells me and give me an instruction, you turn around and forgive these people, and then you make me bless them. So you know what? I'm not doing it. I'm not. And that was Jonah's decision, because Jonah decided that he's not going to follow God's instructions, because Jonah decided that I'm not going to go and open my mouth and say what you said about these people to these people, because once I open my mouth and say it, these people are going to repent. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to forgive them like you always do. And then after you forgive them, I'm going to have to bless them and speak the blessing over their life that you said. So you know what? I'm just not going. I'm not going. That was Jonah's decision, because Jonah decided he was not going to do and say and go where the Father called and created him to be, to do, and to say. Jonah jumps on a ship, and from that ship, Jonah gets tossed overboard. And after being tossed overboard, Jonah gets swallowed by a beast. All of that was a result of Jonah's decision not to follow the Father. Jonah going to Nineveh was purpose for his life and for the lives of those that were about to have, as the church would say, a revival. Jonah decided he didn't want to do that. Well, guess what? After so many days of being in a place Jonah didn't want to be in, but the Father was with him anyway, Jonah ended up going where the Father told him to go, saying what he was instructed to say, doing what he was instructed to do for the people he was called to do it for. And by that, their lives were changed and they were blessed. Identifying our purpose, sometimes along the way, we'll make decisions on our own that is just not what the Father had for us. But no matter what the decision is that we make, whether we decide to go and do, or we decide not to go and do what we're assigned and purpose in the earth to do, the Father still got us. It's just a matter of, will we make the decision to go, be blessed in our going, or will we make the decision, I'm not going, you're not going to change my mind, I'm going to do my own thing, and I am going to do my own thing my own way. We get tossed off the ship. No, before we get tossed off the ship, the storm comes. Then we get woke up out of our sleep. Then we get tossed overboard. Then something has to come through and save us from drowning, and we end up in a dark place we don't want to be in, only to get back to shore, to keep going in the direction we were called and assigned to go. We're just going to use Jonah right now, because out of Jonah's mouth was the liberation and the freedom of other people who were bound, who were in trouble, who were doing things that was causing them to be separated from the Father. They were living their best hellacious life. And Jonah's like, nope, just go on and destroy him. I'm not going. I, I refuse. Sometimes I had to look what the Father's like. I'm going to go and I'm going to do it. I just want you to know I don't want to. And then the Father teaches me how to fall in love with what He's called me to do, because it makes a difference. It makes a difference when we do what we are called and assigned to do, and we do it. I mean, we're in His likeness, in His image, and we're filled with bitterness, strife, and hatred. We're filled with discord. We have an ugly spirit and demeanor about us. Uh-uh. We're filled with the Spirit of YeHoVaH our God first. Then we're created and made in His likeness and His image. And we want to be nasty to people. I just straight up tell everybody I'm just not the friendliest person when I wake up in the morning. I need you to give me a couple of minutes to myself. Now, most people don't know that when I wake up, my voice is a lot more raspy. It's a lot more hoarse. Um, and I sound like I'm not happy. But you better believe, I don't care what I sound like. I am filled with the joy of the Lord. And I'm excited to have just woke up on a day that was not promised to me. I really am. But you can't tell within them first 30 minutes of when I wake up. I don't really even speak to people. I kind of grumble. I kind of grunt. I try to get a good whisper, good morning out, but it don't even sound that good. But most people don't know that I had a goiter that was swollen up so large that it sat on my voice box and it crushed my voice box. So it take a little minute sometimes to, get the vocal cords to percolate. It takes a minute sometimes. So because I know I might sound unfriendly first thing in the morning when I wake up, I might even say to you, good morning. And it might be low. You might think, well, something's wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with me. It's just gotta just gotta get it together. That's all. Give me a couple of minutes to, hey, praise the Lord and give God some glory and have a conversation with the Father. And by the time I'm done talking to the Father, hey, the little muscles done woke up and got a little exercise and fired up, because I'm only working with half a thyroid, and God makes up the difference for the rest. But if you don't know me, to have known that part of my story, then you'll just think, oh, she ain't friendly when she wake up in the morning. I ain't talking to her. It's okay. It's okay. Because I struggle with being bitter when I know my Father's Spirit in me is designed to make me better. I bless the Lord for Prophet Mike Nuanju, Prophet Chubuzo Nuanju, week after week, month after month. He said, God said it was to make you better, not bitter. The man said it so much to me, I had no other option but to believe the word of the prophet. So out of this broken place, the Lord established a relationship between me and the prophet. And it kept me from being bitter about what I experienced and what I went through, not outside of the church, but inside. And I am here to tell you that you have experienced some things in your life, and not a one of it did the Father permit it to be so to make you bitter, but it's designed to make you better. So let's look at this again. You're filled with the Spirit of God. You have the Father's image, the Father's likeness. You have the Father's spirit of forgiveness, the Father's spirit of grace, the spirit of mercy, the spirit of love. You have our Father's wisdom, our Father's understanding. You are filled with our Father's knowledge And it's just that we just getting started. There's so much more. Now, where do you use that? How do we use that in the earth to fulfill, to be, and to do what we are assigned, purpose, and designed to do? We'll get into that. But these are the things that you can take back to the Father and ask Him. What? How? Where? When? Joseph was loved by his mother and his father. And at a very early age, his mother was giving birth to his younger brother Benjamin, Binyamin. And in that, his mother dies giving birth to his younger brother. Joseph is loved and favored by his father and despised by his brothers. They all shared the same father, just a different mother. And they didn't care for him. And they did some pretty ugly things to their brother. Throughout his life, he might have been humiliated and shamed by his brothers. We know that the Lord was giving him dreams and visions and revelations that everybody in his family did not agree with. You see some parallel there? Ultimately, his brothers, fed up and frustrated with him and his haughty opinion of himself, which was just the poor kid's joy and excitement of what the Lord was revealing to him about himself and what was to come. The Lord kind of left out while he was showing him visions of sheaves of wheat bowing down to him and the sun and the moon bowing down to him. The Lord kind of left out, yeah, I showed you that, but before all of that happened, let me just tell you, your brother's gonna get mad at you. They gonna fake your death. They're gonna throw you in a pit full of all kinds of living creatures. Then they're gonna pull you out of the pit while two of your other brothers go away and realize, we shouldn't do our baby brother like this. Let's just pull him out and just send him on back to the house. He'll be okay. And then when his older brothers come back, he realized that they sold him to their cousins. They sold him. And then his cousin said, you know what? It's something about this boy. We don't need him. Let's just get rid of him and sell him again. And then he gets sold again into slavery and bondage. He ends up in Potiphar's house. Now he's a servant in a man's house in a foreign country. The Lord left that part out when he showed him the stars and the suns and the moon and the sheaves of wheat bowing down to him. And the God kind of left all of that part out. And he left out that he's going to work for this man and do good in this man's house. And this man's wife is going to lie on him and he's going to end up in prison. Then the Lord left all of that part out. Yeah, that part, we didn't see it coming. The Lord is going to reveal some things to you. And as God is revealing who you are to him, he gonna leave some parts out, but you better believe you will be equipped to go through whatever it is. You are more than ready. Just be mindful of what you say. One thing the Holy Spirit has taught me, keep your mouth off your situation and your circumstance. And keep your mouth off the people who are involved in it. Whether they mean you harm or they mean you good, keep your mouth off of everybody. Because you don't want to prolong being in that place that you can't wait to get out of. So from being in Potiphar's house and then getting lied on by Potiphar's wife, now the poor child end up in prison. He ain't done nothing wrong to nobody. Still some finishing works that needs to be done. All of us don't get cast into a physical prison. In Texas, that would be TDC, Texas Department of Corrections. All of us don't get tossed into a physical prison. Some of us, it may be mental, it may be emotional, it may be psychological. It could be anything. I mean, you might consider the city you live in as a prison. You might consider the house you reside in as a form of a prison. You may consider your job the prison. Whatever it is, it's still temporal. So be careful of what you say. When you get to the point to where you want to cuss folks out because of their mistreatment of you, hey, press pause. You still can't curse what God has blessed. I don't care how much they mistreat you. Go to the Father and tell him thank you and bless him. You will learn to bless those who spitefully use you and misuse you. Yeah, you will. Yeshua already said that we would. So now you're at a place where you have got to learn how to bless the Lord in everything you deal with, in everything that you go through. You have got to learn how to say, Father, nonetheless, nevertheless, I still love you and I bless you and I thank you. It's a sign of your growth spiritually, mentally, and emotionally. And I'm telling you, it will break stress off your life physically. So now that we've had a look at Joseph and we've had a look at Jonah, let's have a look at you. Well, actually, we've been looking at ourselves since we've been in this teaching. You can't curse what God has blessed, even if what the Lord has blessed is speaking against you. You can't curse it. Don't get yourself in trouble because other people ain't got no act right. Okay? Stop it. Stop murmuring and complaining about it all. Bless God. You're going to get through it faster. Continue to bless the Lord while you're going through whatever you're dealing with, because guess what's going to happen? The things that were bothering you won't bother you anymore. And before you know it, whatever the trouble, the turmoil, the tribulation, whatever that thing was that you were experiencing, you're going to come out of it a whole lot faster because you were blessing God in the midst of it all. Now, with that being said, I want to wish you the greatest Shabbat. You need to know and understand that you are loved by the Father. All of our teachings will come with an in-depth Bible study, so stay connected to the page. These videos will be found in our live recording, but in our home, in our video category, it's going to be different. It's going to be much different. Our crew is working on developing um, those videos for us, because I love going back and listening to the things the Lord has revealed and spoken for me. And I trust that you do too. I look forward to us growing together. I look forward to us increasing together. I look forward to us just falling in love with the identity that our Father has given us and letting go of the identity the world wanted us to believe. You are far greater than you can ever imagine. I know that to be true because we have the same Father, and his plans for us are so much greater. With that being said, I wish you a wonderful Shabbat and Shalom. So, stay true to who you are called and created to be, and all of the things that you are designed to do. All right? Shabbat Shalom. Yay. I know. Sometimes technology works for us. Sometimes it works against us. Yeah. I'm trying to shut down the live stream and it won't let me. But it is jumping all over the place. So here we go. We are going to try it one more time. Shabbat Shalom, people. Enjoy the rest of your day with the Father.